Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Nice to meet you too. Is it pronounced Jens or Jens?
It's Jens.
Jens, I was way off.
Jens? Oh, no, pretty good, pretty good. Like some English speakers find it hard to pronounce, but it's Jens. It's like Nordic name, but quite common in Belgium. Well,
Yeah.
quite.
Well,
Not too common.
sure, Jens. Well, how's your day going so far?
Pretty good. Yeah, I just had a phone call with a friend who lives in Singapore. I haven't seen in a long time.
Wow.
How's my day going? Yeah, I also have a restaurant.
Okay.
And we had like a hygiene check for the hundredth, like 10th time, like
Yeah.
the official people having to deal with that. But all good. As always, it was okay, but it's always stressy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
There's randomly a roastery in Singapore that we work with. So that's actually really cool that
Okay, and there's a roaster, what is it called?
home ground.
Home ground.
Mm-hmm. Is homing in Elysia Tan. Ellie, she just got fourth place in the World Brewers Cup, I guess a few days ago or last weekend. Yeah.
Ground Singapore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna forward to my friends straight away before I forget.
Yeah. Mm.
Check, check, check.
All
All
right.
right. Yeah,
Well,
my colleague won the Belgian Brewers Cup this year. It was like the first Brewers Cup in, I don't know, 10 years because we don't have much competition in Belgium because there's no like SCE, whatever, BE organization. So now they organized the first one and we managed to win. It was fun. The
oh,
problem is because it was the first edition, we couldn't go to the Worlds because you need to do it like 2 or 3 years in a row to get the license to go to the Worlds. I don't know. But it was with official judges who also competed and they judge in the Worlds. It's just a rule. If you're a new country, it takes a couple of years. So unfortunately, we couldn't compete in the Worlds.
hmm. That's interesting. Things I didn't know.
Well, very bureaucratic seems to fit Belgium's way of working. So yeah, sure. It has nothing to do with Belgium. It's just the rules. So yeah,
Yeah.
sadly, but we're happy to win. It was fun. It was good. It was her first year into coffee. Her
Well,
first year into coffee, and she managed to win. So good for her.
all right. Was that one
Yeah,
of your employees or?
yeah. It's Marlies. She's our account manager in the roastery. Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
No big deal. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself. I kind of obviously I read up on you just a smidge, so kind of have
Mhm.
a rough idea of how you kind of started mock. But yeah, kind of just give us the.
Yeah, easy, easy. I've done this talk. Like you're gonna have to cut me off at one point probably because I've been doing it for 14 years. So the story gets longer and longer and bigger, I guess. I'll try to keep it like short and sweet in a way. Feel free to cut me off or ask questions if you want to know more about certain parts about it.
Hmm.
But I'll tell you what I think is important. So you're recording this, right?
Yes, is that okay?
Is it going to be like a podcast kind of thing, or are you going to write about it, or how do we?
Kind of like podcast-ish. So basically, I this recording we put on our like coffee website and on our YouTube channel, so any
Okay,
person can like
to
look it
watch
up,
my language.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Like, how do I have to come across? I'm natural. That's not what I'm saying, but
You could say a
uh,
few things. I don't think it'll
yeah,
be
okay. I leave out all the drug dealing and all the like hardcore stuff from the early days. No.
that's right. You could set it aside for this one.
Okay, so no, cool. So I've been doing it for 14 years now. My name is Jens Crabbe. I'm Belgian. Nothing too exotic or exciting going on there. I left school when I was 17. So I didn't finish high school. I didn't like going to school. In fact, I hated it. Like standing in line, being told what to learn, just like typical kind of ADHD, puberty, was hard. So I decided to quit school when I was 17. Um, in Belgium, you have to go to school until you're 18, but then I subscribed myself for like online teach it yourself, go to do the tests like yourself, kind of. It's like a thing. So you're officially going to school, but you don't have to go to school. But you're in an online kind of school thing. Obviously, I didn't do very well there either. It was just to like get out of school, start working in bars. So I became a bartender, and actually, that is where really my life changed. Um, I really found what I loved doing was, yeah, bartending. I really enjoyed it being with I remember starting in my, how can you say, my student cafe, I would say, like where we were always go out with friends and I had the opportunity to work there. And that's really when my life changed and I started to become a lot more happy again. Doing something I like doing apparently was, well, it's not the most difficult job in the world, but I was good at it in terms of it came very natural to me to be nice to customers, to create good atmosphere, to work very clean, to be very proud about what I was serving, even though it was Belgian beers, like nothing special. The time of my life, to be honest, like partying as well. Um, did that for a couple of years, like 2 years, spend all the money I earned, had a lot of good times. And then I had to make a kind of a decision, like, should I go back to school? No. What do I want to do? Maybe I want to be self-employed. I obviously need money for that. So I changed. I went to work in a different cafe where I got like bit more responsibility, a bit more daytime hours,
Mm,
decent pay. And in 2 years' time, I saved up 30,000 euros. That
mm,
was in 2012.
okay.
2012, and while I was saving money and working, I did like a course to become self-employed because you need a license to be self-employed in Belgium, or you used to at least. If you finish high school in certain like I
Mm,
say, certain, depending on what you were studying, it was possible at the end of the ride you could become self-employed. I think something like that. So I had to do it separately to be able to get my VAT number to start my business. And it was kind of like yeah. So let's keep it short and sweet. I did that, and I was able to start my business with the money I saved. Went to the bank.
yeah.
Um, I was looking for I'm from Leuven. Leuven is like a student town in Belgium, not too far from Brussels, where we're now. I looked for a shop, and I remember I also, of course, did like a coffee training, evening school, 10 course, 3 hours a course. And I remember visiting a coffee roastery, and that was really like, whoa, this is interesting. Like, first of all, trying like very obvious Ethiopian coffees. I didn't really like coffee that much, but I found it interesting. And that's where I started liking coffee because it was like lighter in roast, more delicate. And remember tasting Ethiopian coffees, and I was like, whoa, this is completely different. And decided, okay, I want to be a coffee roaster. I don't want to have a cafe because it's obviously late nights, drunk people. It's a bit messy as well, like the job in a way. So I
Mm,
was like, okay, maybe I'll start a coffee roastery because it seems so interesting. And I don't just have to be a bartender or have a cafe. There's a lot more possibilities. And I like the idea of being a very young guy at that point. I was 21
mhm.
to be like a 21-year-old coffee roaster. It sounded so like cool to me to do something very crafty at a very young age.
Yeah.
Um, so I decided to open a coffee roastery in the city center. I want to do something very like classic, people come in, see the coffees in the bins, like the metal glass bins and can order the coffee, like very classic. The first idea was not like completely specialty, but then of course quickly after digging a bit deeper, quality, specialty, maybe a bit less classic. And then I bought a coffee roaster, a Giesen W6.
Mhm.
I did some research with machines. I had no clue about machinery or whatnot, but did some research and I knew like, okay, I need La Marzocco apparently because they seem good. Everybody has them. And I think from day one, I didn't. save money on like equipment. I wanted the best equipment. So I could tell myself it's not going to be the equipment. If it's not good, it's me.
Mm.
So, and then, yeah, starting a roastery seemed a bit like too difficult to just like, I didn't want to be a salesperson. So, having a roastery, then selling your coffee just by waiting for customers might have been a bit of too slow of a start and a bit too risky. So, then I decided, you know what, I'm going to open a bar and a roastery together. Then people can try the coffee, they will like it, hopefully, then buy the coffee. And that's how it started. Did all the renovation myself in the place without any idea what I was doing. Like I just tried everything myself and it turned out pretty decent or decent enough. So that's kind of how I got started. Obviously, it went pretty good, pretty quickly. I remember I'm kind of like very much Mr. Rabbit Hole. I have a lot of rabbit holes, and coffee is my work, and it's still my rabbit hole, but it used to be a very deep, dark, in a good way, like rabbit hole, in the sense that I knew so little, there was so much to learn, and I remember I was very pressurized, like by myself and my ambition to learn as much as possible, just to avoid having people coming in knowing more about what I'm selling.
Yeah.
So I went like crazy hard on trying to learn as much as possible, as quick as possible, tasting everything, tasting every day, being in the shop every day, like on the edge of like being burned out just by working too much and having no other distractions. Um, Got in touch with some like the way I got my first customers. I didn't want to do sales. Like Mock grew to where we are now very organically
Hmm.
without doing sales. But obviously, the first customers I need a couple of customers to get me started. I knew a couple of people in the industry, like Horeca, restaurants. So I
Hmm.
had like one customer before we opened up who just trusted me. He's like, if you make coffee, I'll buy your coffee. So I had one customer. And then I tried to attract like four other customers,
Hmm.
like in the first month of opening. I think
Hmm.
one or two of them had like a Michelin star. And back then it was really the my goal or my like my pitch, you could say, it was like trying to change coffee in restaurants. Obviously, you want coffee bars as your customers, but I kind of figured it out later. Like my first goal was to be in nice restaurants, change the coffee service there. And then one of my best friends back then, at least, he introduced me into natural wine.
Yeah.
I introduced him into specialty coffee or drinking coffee and wine all the time together and like trying everything. We did events together where his restaurant, it was Couvert, by the way. I mean, credits to them. One of my most loyal customers for 14 years. One Michelin star. They deserve a lot more than stupid Michelin star, but they're amazing. We did some event together. They making food. I invited my existing customers, potential new customers, and we did something back then that nobody was doing, like collaborating with restaurants to do like coffee, wine tasting, food. People were like almost shocked that we did it at such a early stage, and voila. So I was completely rabbit holed coffee tasting. I got close to being burned out in the sense that I was always in my shop or only coffee. I couldn't talk about anything else anymore. And then I decided to join there was a Belgian Cup Tasters Championship. Let's say it was a year and a half after we opened. And it was by accident pretty close to where my shop was.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
so I was like, okay, I'm gonna attend that just you see, I've did this a couple of times already. It's
Hmm.
like non-stop talking. So you have to
No,
stop me
you're
some.
good.
Yeah. I didn't study this. I just did it. I just did the story too many times, I think. So
No.
I went to the Cup Tasters Championship with the only ambition to meet people in the industry and like get to
Mm.
know some people because I had the feeling I was all alone doing my shop with my customers.
Right. Yeah.
Well, happy days. I ended up winning the first competition I competed in, became Belgium Cup Tasters champion, did the Worlds in Australia all by myself.
Hmm.
I went to Melbourne for 5 days, completely jet lagged. Didn't do too bad, didn't do too good. But I was there on my own. It was like impossible. So short notice without any prep to like win that competition.
Yeah.
Maybe I won the first one with a bit of luck, but I won, so I don't know. I don't know. So that really boosted Mocha and the career because people started to talk about us. I guess yeah, this young guy doing new stuff or a new roastery won the competition. So that really like helped me getting started.
Hmm.
Um, then obviously after a couple of years, my first like branding, house style, design. I was so young when I started that when I grew older, my I wasn't developed as a person in terms of like style, ideas. So I changed a lot over the first like let's say 3 years. I started to hate my name, not my personal name, and started to hate the name Mok and the design around it. And I got in touch with a very talented designer called Matthias Dex, about my age, also very young, and talking to him about rebranding. And then we decided to keep the name, but just make it a lot more sexy, I guess. And he came up with some ideas after like 1 week, like felt like first try, he came up with the logo. I don't have
Wow.
to show the logo, right? But you know the logo.
Yeah.
It's actually a monogram MOK, so it's M O and then the K upside down.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is it. Like, feels so much better. Like before, it was like black and gold, and there was like the O had like a cup cut out in. Then we rebranded, became a lot more like slick, and then start changing the identity of Mock. Not like with marketing purpose, just I needed to feel good in my own business,
Hmm.
and that really helped me to be proud of my business.
Yeah.
Then the only problem was we're still in Leuven. Like, I mean, all respect for Leuven. I lived there for 30 years. Uh, Without Leuven, I wouldn't be me and Mok wouldn't be Mok. But I needed to show the. I felt that I got some international interest in my coffee or in our coffee.
Hmm.
And I remember people from Berlin coming over. Can we visit the roastery? And my roastery back then already moved like once or twice, I think. That's a different story, moving the roasteries around to different places. I'll tell you where we end with the roastery. That's more important. Uh, and they came to the roastery, and I saw their faces like, oh, so this is it. It was so basic, so simple, but then the branding was there and the coffee was there, and I was doing everything myself, so I was 100% confident on
Yeah.
like the quality I was roasting or making. But yeah, the roastery itself was just a place where I was producing the coffee. Like, it was cold. It was nothing.
Yeah.
And then I felt like, yeah, also my shop in Leuven was a bit student-like. So I decided to move to a big city. Brussels was the obvious choice, super close to Leuven. So without too much market research, I just found a place in Brussels,
Okay.
signed the contract. The short story there is because I didn't know Brussels that well, or Brussels. I went going out, start to go out with friends who lived in Brussels, yeah, get beers, get drunk, have parties. And I
Yeah.
remember we were going to this pizzeria, which was like a bit more New York style pizza, like a big slice kind of thing. Was a pretty cool place back then. And the place next door said Alloué, which means for rent. I was a tiny bit drunk, maybe, bit overconfident. I told my friends, "This is it. This is where I want to open my next shop. This is perfect." I took a picture of the sign, and actually, next day I called them, had a meeting. And 2 months later, Mock opened up. Again, made the same mistake to do everything myself, too much myself. Got completely exhausted, and then Mock opened up, and I created this more Nordic white, fresh kind of place, which
Hmm.
was very different for Brussels because Brussels is very Berlin, Parisian, a bit more like dark and vibey, a bit less fresh and clean in a way back then. Things have changed, and also the initial design we had, I made it more moody now because I don't want to be the all bright and white interior Nordic kind of vibe. So we became a bit more timeless now, I think, in general with our design and interior. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, then I had two coffee shops all of a sudden. Moved the roastery to Brussels,
Hmm.
opened up a restaurant in the same building as the roastery together with my girlfriend. It's called Night Shop. nightshop.brussels. That's going pretty well. Like I think our restaurant, which my girlfriend manages,
Uh-huh.
nightshop.brussels.
Mm.
I can see the reflection of your screen, you Googling it in your
Yeah, I've
glasses.
got to. I'm so intrigued.
So I think like Nightshop even they got more followers on Instagram after like a year being open and me like hustling coffee for 12 or 13 years. So it
Yeah.
got very hyped and mainly because it's because you can see it's like some sort of garage open space, 7 meter
Yeah.
concrete, very like high-end bistro food, but very low key in a way. So
That's-
that is like our side project. I had the
Mhm.
roaster in there. It was during COVID. I got a bit like almost bored, I guess.
Yeah.
Found this place, managed to buy the place in COVID. Then we
Mm.
put the roastery from Leuven to Brussels
Mm.
in the same space as the restaurant. Of course, in no time, neighbors complaining about smoke and odor. And then the restaurant was kind of exploding, people queuing 45 minutes outside, which is not normal in Belgium. People don't queue in Belgium.
Oh.
My girlfriend's from London, so it was a very different approach on how we run the restaurant and became a big success, if I may say. I'm very proud of that as well. But then, yeah, we moved the roastery again for like the fourth or fifth time, I think. It's a bit like catch me if you can, you know. Like nobody knows where we're roasting. We're always like on the move.
Uh-huh.
But now we're in a proper spot. We have like 400 square meters at Aziat Park.
Okay.
Aziat Park is in Vilvoorde. It's between Leuven and Brussels, very convenient. And
Yeah.
it's an old military site. There's a couple of videos on our Instagram where you can like see the roaster a bit, I think, in the interior.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's actually an old military site. We have a 400 square meter, like kind of big space, very well organized. Bought a bigger roaster. We have a second roaster now, the Stronghold S9X. We have the Probat UG22.
Hmm.
And it's the same site where Horst, it's HORST. It's like electronic music festival, but like also curated or invented by people from Leuven, some old friends of mine. It's actually an amazing festival. You should really look it up. And if you're ever in Belgium, you should visit it. It's
Mm.
like people are not on their phone on that festival. People are there to like vibe and for the music, and it's
Mm.
crazy, crazy. So now we're roasting in Vilvoorde. We renovated the coffee shop in Brussels. We renovated the coffee shop in Leuven. And then we have the restaurant.
Oh.
And on the meanwhile, managed to pick up a couple of prizes here and there or recognition, which is fun, but not super important, but kind of have to mention it for
Yeah.
some people think that's important or I'm
Hmm.
also happy. I think we're doing good. I think a very important part of the story here is that I'm the only owner, and
Hmm.
I think that's part of the well, let's knock on wood, success of MOK. Don't want to jinx anything here, but the fact that it's just me with, I mean, like 25 members of staff, I think,
Yeah.
without any commercial wind in my back. There's like no investors, no money people. 100% shares are mine.
Mm.
I can do what I want. And I think that's really where we can make the difference because there's so many roasteries popping up, and all respect to other roasteries or new roasteries, and good luck to everybody. And a lot of people, the question people ask me the most is, oh, there's a lot of competition now, you know, like how do you deal with competition? I always say they're competing with each other, and we're doing what we're doing for a long time now. And we're still a young company with young people, but since I started so early, we're doing it for 14 years.
Yeah. Which is a long time now. Very much so.
Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
That's an absolutely wonderful story, Jens. Yeah. Genuinely hard to come by. There are so many, like you said, roasters that are like owned by multiple people or just like so
Yeah, like so,
genuine.
so, like and a lot of them are nice. Like don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but some of them are wolf in sheepskin.
Yeah.
They're just businesses to make money, which is fair. I mean, everybody wants to make money in the end, but yeah, I don't know. You can often like feel that the vibe is not 100% there. Like And there's nothing wrong with getting investors and the way you run your business. But
Mm,
I am very happy that the way I did it was without investors. Of course, I owe the bank loads of money, but they don't care what I'm doing. As long as I pay them, they let me be. I think that's kind of yeah, what makes mock maybe a bit different than the majority of roasters.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, all well said. It is a crazy story that you've you literally also entered the tasters just to kind of like learn and meet people and and then you
Yeah.
how surprised were you when you did that?
I don't know. What a crazy feeling, but I don't know. I'm very competitive as a person.
Okay.
Like with the other rabbit holes, as a kid, like a bit off topic, but I think it's fun to like share me instead of all just like, oh yeah, mock this and that and corporate stuff. I
Mm.
used to be a massive gamer,
Sure.
maybe still am secretly.
Sure.
I used to be like massive gamer, like into like shooters and used to. There's basically parts where I also like maybe fucked up school a bit, playing too much video games. But then also after a year and a half or so, like spending all my time doing it, I got into like the national team, went to LAN parties back in the day. Like there was like I wanted to be the best at video games, at coffee. I had it with climbing, with bouldering for a while, and I still like doing it, but I kind of reached my limits or my skill
Mm.
limit, and then I look for something different. Um, because there's only so much you can do to get better, at a certain point, if it's not your job, like, and
Yeah.
then I lose a bit of interest. I had the same with mountain biking as well, like
Oh,
mountain biking while, yeah.
absolutely amazing. Well, after you started, obviously you now are buying coffee from amazing producers, co-ops, farmers all over the world. And we got to try some and, kind of just starting with the first two that we kind of used for like our approachable was the Ecuador Cruz Loma and
Okay.
Peru La Higuera. How did you kind of come across these
So,
coffees?
I used to do everything myself, as I said, right? Now I try to give up responsibility to my team. I really try to create an environment where people can grow, earn a decent amount of money, get a lot of extra legal nice stuff. Like I take my staff on trips, I mean, all the time.
Mhm.
To all my staff, if you're listening to this and you think different, please reply in the comments. Give it give it thumbs down, or but I'm sure they'll agree on this. Like I take people abroad to events, but I give them a lot of responsibility. So the Peruvian coffee is sourced not by me, so I'm not 100%
Sure.
aware of where she sourced it. But Pauline, she did a trip in Peru,
Hmm.
not only for work, but she combined it with some work, and she visited people there, and I gave her full responsibility to source the Peruvian coffees. Obviously, I try the coffees before we buy them,
Oh,
but
sure.
sometimes I trust them and they can buy without I mean, I'm not super taster, superman, like other people. If I trust my staff, we're very well aligned on our taste. Like if we do tastings together, always we pick the same coffees for the same reasons.
Mm.
So Peruvian coffee is something she sourced. Ecuador, we've been working on for a while now, and it's one of my favorite origins. I haven't visited Ecuador yet. I haven't been there.
Yeah.
It's an origin trying to work a lot with. What I like about Ecuador that Ecuador is like fine wine. It's um, they have expressive profiles, but they're all so clean and precise and delicate, and you can almost feel that it's like some sort of it's not completely organic or organic certified because we don't work with certifications. Um, but also after reading them, talking to the importer, those people are doing a beautiful job at doing the right thing for the environment. And I
Yeah.
don't want to be greenwashing stuff here. Like I'm 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 not a hypocrite,
Yeah.
but I would love to have my coffees as natural and organic as possible without being a label fucker, like
Yep.
that's really what I want to avoid. And what I also like about these coffees, like, and it's a topic I always bring up when we're talking about coffee or doing interviews or podcasts. It's the new coffee trend of like adding flavor to coffee.
Hmm.
I hate it.
So,
I said it. I hate it. Like it's it's there's so much to say about this, and I found it very important to like share my vision about this for people who are listening, because I think that's where it's going to be a lot harder for me on the short term to make a difference. People understanding who we are, what we're doing. That's why I need to be vocal about it.
yeah.
Obviously, people who are less into coffee, they try these infused coffees. God knows what they did with him. I mean, some are organic infused with actual fruit, others are infused with synthetic flavor, others are, I mean, they have like cultivated lab yeast in them.
Hmm.
Me being a very much natural eater and drinker, like love natural wine, love spontaneous fermented beers,
Yeah.
it only makes sense that I want my coffee to be the same.
Mm.
Um, And I remember the first time trying like one of these infused coffees from like, with all respect, big guy, Diego Samuel Bermudez.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in my roastery, Diego Samuel Bermudez and Nestor Lasso. We were one of the first roasteries to buy their coffees.
Hmm.
We went for dinner together, steak and fries in Brussels. I'll never forget that pictures. We were one of the first to buy their coffees, and he's known for, I don't want to blame him for infusing coffees, but he's a game changer in terms of like
Yeah.
soaking the coffees in a juice from a different coffee with cultivated yeast in there. And like it's a lab, it's an industry. It's crazy the flavor that he makes, the volume of coffee at the same flavor,
Hmm.
at the price, but it's not for me. I bought it a
Hmm.
couple of times and then I saw or I realized it's like not for us.
Hmm.
And now I'm having like getting mojito coffee, or like whatnot, like. And it's funny, like maybe it's because of it's like a bit of a culture at MOK now. Nobody likes it, and if people do like it in our company, they're fired. No, no, they can like they can of course like it, but for some reason we're very much aligned with the idea that coffee should be natural.
Yeah.
I, a, what a big problem here is, and I'm not necessarily hating on infused coffees because if there's a market for it, people will buy, people will drink it. And once again, I'm not a hypocrite. I drink a cola once in a while, and I enjoy drinking it once in a while. And so I'm not a hypocrite. But if it's about the products I'm selling, problem with coffee is regulations. The producer doesn't need to tell us what he's doing with the coffee, and we don't need to put on the back what's done with the coffee. So I can see loads of roasters now, like actually making big bucks on selling infused coffees. It's easy. Throw them in a roaster, blink your eyes a couple of times, pull them out. It's kind of going to be good. It's not difficult to roast infused coffees because at a certain point the coffee just becomes the carrier of the flavor they put in it.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you can have peach infused coffees if it's with real peach or not, I don't know, but it tastes so much like peach that it's like iced tea peach. And the
Yeah.
coffee is just there to carry that flavor, and it creates um, an experience that is so over the top that it's not fair to compete. I think you shouldn't be allowed to compete in competitions with it. For example, like
Yeah.
you can have the best coffees, the most expensive, like geishas, sudarumes, washed profiles, which are like delicate, refined. They need the right water to brew them. They
Hmm.
need your palate and your mind to be in the right moment to actually understand those coffees as well. Because some geishas, some days you don't feel it because you're saturated, you're tired. If you put those on the table with a couple of crazy co-ferment infused coffees and give them to 100 people, probably 99 people will pick the cheaper infused coffee that's been messed around with.
Yeah.
It's not fair for the people who work very hard to create something natural. I mean, you do your business, we do our business. It's all fair, but it's not fair that they're under the same category being specialty coffee. That's one reason why. MOK used to be MOK Specialty Coffee Roastery and Bar. We put away specialty coffee, all that stuff, and we're MOK coffee now. Like I decide my own standards. Don't need
Mm,
anybody to tell me how much points the coffee need to be. It's our taste, our standards. Try to be loyal to producers. If a producer creates a coffee that's 1 point less next year, I will still buy that coffee.
yeah,
And because we pre-book the coffees, we get very good qualities because we don't buy spots that much.
right.
Coffees that are waiting for customers. But I mean, the other side of the coin is that I don't always, I mean, we have very high quality, high scoring, expensive coffees in general. Because once
Yes.
again, I can do what I want and I want to have the best coffees. But if
Yeah.
one of my producer friends makes coffee that is maybe a tiny bit like a point less than last year, I would still buy it. And I would also sell it at a lower price and still like the coffee for what it is, even though it's not like the most floral thing in the world. But same as with wine, is that you cannot just operate your business as an opportunist, I
Yeah.
guess, because that's also not sustainable. And this is something where we really stand for to try to create like these relations with producers, visit them. Once again, can't be a hypocrite. It's impossible to visit them all the time. And producers also just want to make money, so sometimes you miss out on relationships and so on. But that still can be like the vision or the idea or the goal.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, I love it. Well, one thing that I thought was very interesting and just like your offering list, and I don't know how much of this, you're part of, but you had three Peruvian coffees that like, I'm starting to see Peru's like a smidge more, and it was all three were amazing.
it's
And
also like we try to work as seasonal as possible. Some coffees are less seasonal or stay longer. As long as they taste good, we sell them. But I think it's cool to have like when Peru is in season or a different origin to offer more of that instead of like, oh, we're gonna release the Peruvian coffees in 12 months and at the end of the year, like half of them are tasting like getting woody or aged. Like if there's one thing I really hate, it's aged coffee.
Hmm.
Well, not hate. It's
Yeah.
just not nice. Like, and I don't want to sell it. And if we have coffee that's slightly getting aged, I don't throw it away. I will sell it at a lower price, and you will see cedar wood on the tasting notes. I'm like honest about it. I mean, but it's the same with like wine, like sometimes you buy wine from a great producer and you kept it for a bit too long. Yeah, then you have to sell it a bit cheaper, and it can still be something very nice, easy drinking for a lot of people
Yeah.
as long as it's fair and transparent. And I think that's but I mean we don't have much coffees that age because we sell fast and we have very little stock. But I'm just trying to show you that we're trying to be honest and open, transparent and modern in our approach and not being like, even though our brand might look very how can I say, high end, it
Sure.
still needs to be compensated, not compensated, but I want to be a real company where people know who's behind them, behind the brand, who's the owner. That's why I'm telling you my real story as well, because I don't need to act who I
Yeah.
am or what.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I love that you guys, and kind of going back to what you said about, infused coffees and co-ferments. Funny enough, we feel the same way. And, being a multi-roaster, we obviously work with a lot of different roasters from around the world. And yeah, we've just slowly less and less gotten those
It's
coffees.
infested, man. Like wherever I go, you go to coffee festivals, you come in the venue, you can smell the lemongrass and being brewed all around you, and then people recognize you,
Hmm.
perhaps,
Yeah.
and they want to want to show me something to show off.
Yeah.
Every like, 7 out of 10, it's like, is it like Colombian? Yeah. Is it co-ferment or infused? Oh, yeah, maybe. No, no, it's a quadruple anaerobic with yeah, sure. The tasting is like I can see how it's crazy what you're giving me, and I can see why, but I don't want to drink it. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I don't want to drink it. And I think coffee is moving. The coffee industry is moving in a direction where wine is moving away from, where people are more into natural wine, and
Yeah.
Don't you dislike it that people call it natural wine? Like, shouldn't it be a given that things are natural and just natural? Why aren't industrial things being called out for being industrial? Like, why do we have to call out people who are doing normal things or producing normal products that have been produced like this for centuries?
Hmm.
No, things that are the new school things, like let's say conventional wine, which probably started after, let's say 50, 80 years ago, maybe a bit longer. Back in the days, there was more natural wine than ever. Now there's
Hmm.
more conventional wine than ever. And people point finger at, you drink natural wine, must be like unfiltered, stinky, wonky wine. No, there's a lot of bad natural wine for sure, which I don't drink.
Right.
But still, it should be a given that your product is natural.
Yeah.
And with coffee, and we're going to see the same, I think. I hope at one point people will come to MOK and seeing us as the natural coffee place, not for the natural process, but real coffees.
Hmm. Well, one of our biggest reasons for not wanting to work with coffees that are either infused or co-fermented or anything of that sort is, I mean, we've drank coffees that taste like those, and they're just like a natural process, or like, like they exist. Yeah.
Yeah, they exist but they're delicate, and
Yeah.
not everybody can appreciate it. And for a lot of people, it will still be just coffee, like or sour coffee. Whereas with those co-fermented, I mean, I can per imagine. I used to make tepache, like fermented pineapple juice.
Okay.
I see like tepache process. I mean, if there is actual fruit or fruit juice or kombucha coffee, I
Mhm.
would buy that. Nothing wrong with experimenting with different fermentations. But as soon as it tastes capsuled, the flavor is capsuled, that means something's too industrial there. Like you can taste it. Same with wine. If the wine tastes closed in terms of like very one-dimensional, you can
Mm.
feel that it's missing like some sense of openness. And I have the same with coffee. As soon as something is like monotonous in flavor,
Mm.
punch in your face, peach, peach, peach. Normally, it's gonna be something non-natural, I think, because I mean, if you would infuse a bit of peach in a coffee, it might give you some fermenty, peachy side notes, but if it really takes over everything, the coffee is coated. The beans
Mhm.
are coated in something like, and I had some coffees that were like lemongrass or ginger, and I think synthetic in a way, but I can never be sure. But I remember scooping when I was working in the roastery, and we just moved 2 years ago. Every time we move, I kind of work there myself as well to get everything set up and I
Yeah.
get a feel of the space and the machines and whatnot. And I remember scooping up coffee with like this metal coffee scoop. With you can have the most expensive geisha or natural produced coffee or whatever, and you scoop it up with the coffee in your roaster or your bucket or whatever, and you smell the scoop, and it smells like green coffee.
Mhm.
And if it's good quality, it smells a bit better, and if it's natural, it smells a bit sweeter. And you
Mhm.
scoop aside and you go back to the scoop and the smell is gone. You scoop an infused coffee with your metal scoop, leave it out for a week. You still smell the residue on the scoop. That means there's something coating the beans that gives the flavor.
Yeah. That's actually really interesting. I haven't heard that before, but that makes sense. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well,
I think they're soaking a lot of beans in sort of like juice to give flavor, like literally infuse flavor in the beans. But I'm not an expert on the topic, and maybe some things I'm saying should be taken with a grain of salt. Maybe some things are false, but I'm just telling you how I feel about things and what I think is happening.
yeah. No,
Should be
absolutely all
there.
wonderful stuff. Speaking of which, these the two coffees that we used for like our kind of like exotic offerings for our subscription was the Peru Margarita Gesha and the
Okay.
Guatemala Finca Gascon Gesha.
Okay, nice.
Were just wonderful. Oh my good gracious.
So a
Um,
funny thing is about, well, funny, the Gascon is actually end of season, so that's old coffee. Don't get me
really?
wrong. Yeah, I wouldn't sell it to you if it wasn't tasting good, but it kept so good, like his coffees. So Felipe Contreras from Finca Gascon,
Mhm.
actually, I'm wearing his t-shirt.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I've been wearing it for 2 days, so comfy. It's like perfect, like perfectly soft. Um, Good t-shirts. Uh,
I'm so glad to
um,
hear that. It's got
yeah.
a t-shirt.
Actually he's one of my best coffee friends. So
No.
this is actually a producer I know personally.
Mm.
I've been twice. I just released a video. It's a bit of a shitty video because I made it myself with my phone. It's not like very much produced, but it's a couple of videos down on my Instagram where
Yeah.
I was at Finca Gascon.
Okay.
Um, I've been twice to his farm. We've been to Copenhagen together.
Mhm.
We've been to Athens together. He was been to Brussels with me. So we've been traveling around. We're going to Geneva together for World of Coffee, doing some event with his coffee. Funny story how we got to meet. Like I was in Guatemala visiting some producers I worked with already on a cupping. I tried his geisha.
Okay.
He has one of the best geishas in the world.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, his dad used to own a farm. He has an irrigation business.
Wow.
His farm is irrigated. He also, I don't think he was doing too well at school. Don't quote me on this. Sorry, Felipe, if you hear this. Maybe you were doing amazing. But I mean, you became a coffee farmer, so you had different interests, I guess. So his dad had a farm, they bought a farm, and his dad heard that these geisha plants were making big bucks, you know. So his dad planted geisha and then kind of like gave the farm to his son, like here, like you do it if you want. Like he didn't know what he was doing. So the geisha I tried on the cupping table was his first harvest, and it blew everything I tried in the last year away. So they
Wow.
must have been very lucky or did a very good job at finding the right pure strain of like geisha plants. I don't know exactly where they're from, to be honest. I asked him, but I forgot. Um, so since then, we've been buying loads of his coffees. We've
Nice.
been going to parties together. I mean, like we got drunk together. He's an actual friend, you know. Like we're not only like talking coffee. We get along very well. So I just been in Antigua with him for 5 days.
Okay.
It's fun. We buy loads of his coffees, a lot. He doesn't produce so much.
Yeah.
Uh, he does a lot of experimental stuff as well with like yeast he cultivates and he makes his own natural fertilizer. And there's a couple of these things in my video.
Yeah.
And we're gonna release like more of a documentary. I mean, like me vlogging with my camera, talking about stuff that's happening. Gonna try to make a proper video with that.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm waiting for my skilled video friends to come back from wherever he is traveling all the time to
Yeah.
help. So we'll release more content on Felipe's coffee. But Felipe is actually the producer we're super close with, so it makes sense to buy more of his coffee to have it all year round, as long as I mean, depending on how they're performing.
Yeah.
If you taste the fresh geisha, it's like another level. But I think for a geisha that's almost a year old now, it's crazy.
Amazing.
Also not too expensive, in my opinion.
Yeah, not so much at all.
He-
Also,
He's he's understanding the price now. Every year, it's going up. It's going
it's
up.
going.
Yeah.
Well, the Gascon on espresso was amazing. It
Oh
was
yeah.
very kiwi, very magnolia, just
Okay.
lime, just citric, just
Okay.
really clean and silky and fun. Like I loved that on espresso.
Amazing.
I'm
What
poor.
kind of machine you make it with?
What?
What kind of machine you make it with?
You have an older La Marzocco EE, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
It's like a Linnea Classic.
Yes. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. Yeah, that was so good. On pour over, I was even getting like strawberry and like really sweet red pear and just white
Okay.
grape. It's like
Amazing. Amazing. Good to hear.
absolutely amazing coffee. Yeah, and then for the decaf, we had y'all's Guatemala Chachi.
Yeah.
Also very good.
I tried it yesterday on our production cupping as well. I was like, it's actually very tasty.
Very tasty.
I
Yeah,
want to
so,
drink a cup of that even.
yeah, like so
I
in,
wish I
in
had some now to make a cup, but I don't. But actually,
I brought I was before this call I was gonna brew up the Gascon because I had a little bit left, but then I was too busy so I didn't get a chance. But I'll brew
yeah, okay.
it. But this decaf that you have are like in Belgium is decaf a big thing? Is it not? Because like in the US it isn't like okay decaf is just like the normal. So all of a sudden we're getting decafs like this one from you or other places, and it's like, wow, this is actually like good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all the restaurants need decaf, and we supply a lot of restaurants.
Yeah.
So, and we always buy sugarcane process or Swiss water. And
Okay.
it always kind of tastes like that, especially the sugarcane processes. The one you had now is sugarcane, right? Or am I mistaken?
I'm pretty sure you're correct. Yes.
Like because it's decaffeinated with like a byproduct of sugarcane, molasses, and then it
Mm-hmm.
gets soaked in that kind of an infused coffee, you could say.
No.
And it kind of gives also some sweetness to the coffee, that
Yeah.
process.
It was
Yeah.
very sweet. Yeah, yeah. I wrote down brown sugar sweetness, prune and almonds, delicate mouthfeel, really smooth and clean, and just
It's
very.
also the only omni roast, so it's probably a tiny bit darker than
Mhm.
our usual filter roasts. But then we also figure people drinking decaf in general, they want something like satisfying and not too like you don't need to be like a nerd to make something good out of it. So that's why we make omni roast, something that works on espresso and filter. And you can brew it lighter on espresso because it's naturally or well because of the process lower in acidity.
Yeah,
So it's easy to get good results, I think.
yeah, yeah. So, some of the people who, are subscribers, we have about like 40 or so subscribers, and I think our order was around 15 kgs or so. Um, a lot of people are still brewing this at home, whether it's on pour over or espresso.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have our way of brewing in, both
Mm.
methods. But coming from you, like, do you have any specific recommendations or what you think people should at least try and experiment with?
It's also interesting because I used to be like insanely geeky on trying to brew the perfect cup and like all these tools. And
Yeah.
people ask me for recipes all the time where I think like you cannot communicate a recipe. And
Mm,
people should honestly read a thing or two online. I mean, there's so much information. Train yourself in whatever equipment you have and understanding how to change the extraction to be more extracted or less extracted, or you make your cup stronger or lighter, also to your own preference, is so much more valuable than listening to how I make my coffee. And when I make my coffee at home, even though I'm hard to please when you give me a coffee, but I like to make my coffee without thinking too much. Like
mm,
I, when my scale is out of battery, I can't be bothered to like plug it in. I just try to make a good coffee on sites
yeah.
and try to think like how would people without maybe our knowledge brew it at home and how would it taste.
Hmm.
So I for some reason I became like less nerdy about brewing, but
Hmm.
I do think like taking care of the fundamentals, which is water, water, water. I mean, good water is key. So you need good water. I have a little osmosis system at home here, which produces 20 ppm water, and I add some drops of magnesium. Okay, I'm saying I'm not geeky with my brewing, but then this is in
Yeah.
the water is important. We have good bottled water as well, but I use the Lotus drops. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Just let me know it counts.
I'm dying.
So I think I have like the osmosis system is also not expensive. It's like 300 euros from Aquaphor.
Okay.
Cheap, but
Yeah.
cheap. I mean, relatively cheap. And then some
Yeah.
Lotus drops. And to be honest, I don't measure the drops, a couple of drops for a liter, two or
Yeah.
three maybe. And that gives some extra bit of more body to the water because 20 ppm is a bit low. So
Yeah.
water important. I got so spoiled always brewing. Seaborist, if you're watching, send me some free filters for the marketing I'm doing here. But Seaborist filters, guys from Barcelona. This is all I brew with.
Wow.
We use it in the bar.
Yeah.
We sell it. It looks it's nice packaging and so, but they have their own little paper factory in Barcelona.
Wow.
It's actually the last filter that's in my box. Like one more coffee and I'm done. I need to restock.
So would you
So
say,
these are like high quality filter papers and they run so much faster. So
yeah.
you don't have like the clogging up. I do think I didn't calculate how much they cost, but they're probably like 10 cents each.
Hmm.
Not cheap.
Yeah.
But to be honest, 10 cents to brew and your quality goes up so much. These are
Yeah.
key. Good grinder, good water, good filter, good
Hmm.
coffee, and then basically whatever you're doing with it afterwards, unless you're completely off the charts with like being too fine or too coarse. But let's be honest, in theory, grind as fine as possible
Hmm.
without clogging up your brew, without having over extraction, and without becoming too strong. But in theory, the finer you grind, the less coffee you can use, the more efficient you're brewing,
Hmm.
the
Yep.
more extraction yield you should be able to have.
Yep.
Uh, that would be my advice. Grind as fine as possible without having like muddy beds, I guess, without having your coffee stalling. And the thing is with the sea breeze filters, you can actually grind finer, use less coffee, brew more efficiently. If you have good water, then it's easy to make
Yeah.
good coffee.
That's absolutely wonderful. I think that's a great thing. So it's cool to hear someone like you saying that the Cerberus filters are worth it. Because, like, I don't know too many people who are really brewing with them all the time, honestly. And so, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, it's also like I want to make the best coffee, and I figured out that it runs faster, it's more efficient, it tastes cleaner.
Mhm.
They're super nice guys as well, not unimportant. And I can't live without Seabrists anymore. If I have to brew with a different filter, I get again like because of the style of brewing I developed with these, maybe get like 4 or 5 minute brews, like brews clocking up. Uh, so yeah, love
I love it. I love to hear it. Well,
them.
I think this has been fantastic. I don't know if I have any other particular questions. I think you gave an amazing story. But do you have anything else that you want to like particularly add about you or maybe what you're up to these days or the future of mock?
So another rabbit hole is maybe a tiny bit like hi-fi stuff,
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Um, I have a lot of like in-ear monitors, so I'm probably it's kind of almost sure gonna open a listening coffee bar in Brussels.
Wow.
Very small menu, like let's say like single espresso, double espresso, single cappuccino, double cappuccino, batch brew. That's the menu.
Wow.
Next to that, I have a Streetman espresso maker.
Okay.
You know that?
No, what's that?
It's like probably one of the best machines to get at home
Okay.
to brew espresso. Well, I bought it for home, but it's always in the roastery. They don't leave it here. But I bought it for home.
Oh, wow. It's a lever.
The Streetman CT2.
Okay.
It only heats the water you need to brew. It's super efficient, small. So I'm gonna put this next to my coffee machine that makes our base menu, and then I'm gonna have a list of coffees, even maybe different roasteries. And then having a list of like more exclusive and expensive espressos, also for filter. Maybe we're gonna do some batch cocktails and
Mhm.
maybe a fridge with some wine, and we open whatever is open. And that's gonna be very simple, but then focused on music, listening to music, and great service and great coffee in a very homesy kind of. I mean, I'm not gonna open the place to make money. I mean, or to be super busy. We have our busy shops, and I see all these coffee places like trying to have the biggest and the most. Like we're gonna open two more shops here and there, and it's all like takeout and busy, like boring. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Belgium or Brussels needs a bit more something different, I think. These are
Yeah.
the speakers. Good,
Whoa. That's pretty cool.
good now.
I love it.
I mean, there's so much space for new coffee shops, but everybody's just copying their own
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
let's see. See, it's also going to be temporary, maybe just for a couple of years, and then do something different. We'll see.
that's
It's kind
very
of confidential because I didn't decide on it yet, 100%, but we're almost there. So feel free to broadcast. You don't have to cut it out. It's
oh,
okay.
I'll have to
Now I
look.
need to. Now I need to do it. I was still doubting, like, am I going
It
to
would
take my?
be
I need to do it. I said it. I said it. I'm going to
St.
do it.
Louis is going to show up to Belgium
Yeah.
just to
I'm
see.
gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna do it. So yeah, I think that's kind of it. We're gonna go to Geneva, World of Coffee. If you want to meet up with us.
Yeah.
Have keep an eye on our Instagram. We're gonna be posting what we're doing and where we're doing it. Come say hi. Come have a drink with us after. I mean,
Yeah. I wish I could. I won't be there. There might be some other St. Louis people there though that I
yeah.
will definitely direct your way.
Okay, cool, amazing. We're gonna be there with Felipe from Gascon.
That's amazing. Man,
Yeah,
I'm sure that's going to be absolutely stunning.
yeah.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Jens.
You're welcome.
I
Like
appreciate it.
doing this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the coffees were absolutely amazing. We're looking forward to working with you guys again in some capacity, whether it's
Yeah,
before the end of
yeah.
the year or beginning of next year again.
Sure. And be feel free to reach out like well in time, talk to Pauline about what's coming to make sure you get what you want and the sort of coffee you want. All
Yeah,
good.
that sounds great. Thanks
Okay,
again.
I hope you enjoyed it, man. I hope it wasn't too like ranty, because I've done it so
No.
many times. Just keeps coming.
Well, it worked out perfectly because that's all, this is all what we want to know. I would have been asking you
Sometimes I wonder if the story is still the original story. Like it's a story I've been telling so many times. Might have changed over time. Like got more exciting.
That's
But
right.
I think it's still pretty accurate. I'm quite sure, actually. I'm quite sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm quite sure.
And, well, thanks again and enjoy the rest of your day and we will
Thanks,
be in
man.
touch at some
Thank
point
you. Well,
again.
what time is it there? It's like early, like 12, 1.
Yeah, almost 12 p.m.
Okay. All
Yep.
right. Enjoy your lunch then, all right? Yeah.
I'm gonna take my lunch and go back to work.
Right. See you guys.
Thanks so much. Take care, Jens. Bye.
Bye-bye.